I've completed my pediatric training and I'm a licensed pediatrician. So for me, growth charts are a really big deal. Partially because one of the key ways that pediatricians pick up subtle problems in kiddos is by following their growth. And as you guys know, the growth in children with 4P- is not the same as children who don't have 4P-. And so I don't know how many of you have had this experience of watching the doctor plot your child's points in there, the curve thing is up here and the child is going along down here and you're wondering how is this giving you any relevant information at all. And I would argue that using a regular standard growth chart isn't giving us good information. And so this is one of the things that we kind of wanted to get into. And a lot of you who have G-tubes and some of this maximal nutritional intervention, you still don't see the child pop up to that chart. So I think we need to look into this a little bit more. And some of you have told me that you're using the existing growth charts that came out of the Netherlands primarily. They go up to 4 years of age. I think they're excellent information about them. So that's the doctor who put that together. And it was primarily from the Netherlands, but they did get some patients. Maybe some of you participated because they did have some patients from North America. Unfortunately, they don't have anything past 4 years, and as Dr. Carey mentioned, they're not intending to work on this anymore. So our goal was to create growth charts through 18 years of age, and we do have people in our group who are adults, and so we can actually do some of this, I think. And the more measurements we have, the better our charts will turn out. So these are kind of the details we need. The age of the child, the height, the weight, and the circumference, as much as possible.
You have to have anyone that shares their child's growth data with us. We would want the University of Utah, we have an IRA, Institutional Board, permission to be able to collect information for studies of this nature. So we would want to protect your human rights, if you will, by making sure you have to sign the consent form. From you signed, those who signed the consent form for Amanda was helpful for us to be able to look at this information, but now we should have this further consent form. It looks very complicated, and but it just comes down to us having that information available about the growth points. I think if we really had a large number of points, we were talking to our biostatistician, I don't know what this number is. Let's say it was 250 children where we had at least 8 points per child for all 3 parameters. I could imagine us asking questions like before, after G-tube, like with, without G-tube. I probably wouldn't factor in the heart because it usually doesn't affect the growth, these types of heart defects. I can see if we had the information separating greater than 5 megabase deletion, smaller than 5 megabase deletion. That might not make a difference because it looks like the primary growth issues are in those last 5 megabases at the end of the 4P. So maybe we don't have to worry about the chromosome. That was my initial pass. But we didn't necessarily, but maybe it does make a difference. But those are the sorts of questions. And so when one is being seen by a GI specialist and we're wrestling with, are we giving enough calories? What are the factors that are going into the growth? At least we have some template, at least we have some background to start working with as to what's intrinsic. But as you know, keeping in mind, there are so many factors in data. I mean, children are varying by whether they do have some other medical problems, don't have medical problems. So it's still, in my mind, very crude. But it's more than a beginning. And I was really impressed that he was able, with what Amanda helped collect with us so far, on 25 kids with multiple points, that we can actually see a growth curve come out of it. I wasn't sure. I thought we were going to be giving you scattergrams today, where you just saw little dots on a graph. So I was really pleased. He just literally got to us yesterday at 4 o'clock. We were working to have it. So we actually do have a research protocol in which we can actually collect this. And this is one of Amy's, as she goes into her second year as a fellow, this is actually one of her research projects she'll have in the 2 years, with 2 more years she has with us, maybe even longer, hopefully. But either way, so with that in mind, I wanted to open this up for questions. Now, I think, yeah, the question was, or an excellent comment about, sometimes Dr. Jackson and his teammate, they just came in the room, they'd be talking about this. Where is this point where we say, okay, we can't obtain any more growth by increasing calories? Now, I'm not sure I can visualize yet that it would answer that question, but I can see it saying, well, this, in a not so crude way, this is what we know the 95th centile and the 5th centile is. This is what we should be shooting for, somewhere in between here, that I could see it actually being a standard to help with that kind of decision. The question that this mom had was, her daughter will go up and down in her weight, and how should she send that? I would say we want all growth points, and if we have a whole lot of growth points, and that will, we know there are so many variables we can't control, but what will happen is that'll ease itself out because we'll have so many points. We won't have to worry about that one point, one going up, coming down. But because we know all of this is going to be limited, and we're going to have to say that right out front. Yes, question or comment in the back?
Would you be interested in growth points for a child who's been on growth hormone for an extended period of time?
Well, for sure. I guess one question would be, including that child in the growth points, perhaps excluding that child in the growth points at another point, and then comparing that child to everybody else on the curves. I think it's a great question, even for a single case or more than one case. I know there are children in the parent group, in the group, in your group, that are on growth hormone, who determine that growth hormone deficiency, or are being given a trial growth hormone deficiency. I think we would want to know that for sure. I'm glad you brought that up, because while we might want to say G2, no G2, large deletion, small deletion, not ask a lot of work. Do we want to break it to gender? At first we were thinking, no, let's not do that, just because we won't have enough points then. But I think if we get a large number of points, almost have a database about it, then we can start even asking those kind of questions. Thank you for that point, concept.